Hi, my name is Peter Sinclair from Onstage Presentations, and I'm standing in the council chamber of Newcastle City Council, where we have just upgraded the audio-visual system for the council. What we'll do is run through all the pieces of equipment in the room, starting with the rack in the ante-room where we have an uninterrupted power supply. This is the rack. Down below is the uninterrupted power supply. If you push the little button on the far right, it brings up the readout on the UPS, and it tells us that the UPS is running, the battery is charged, and it's using about half its capacity. Above the UPS is a power sequencer, so the items that are switched on by using the UPS are not all switched on at once when the system is started. Above the power sequencer is a hearing loop amplifier. Above that is the amplifier for the gallery, and above that is the amplifier for the council chamber. Above that is a network switch for the Wi-Fi in the council chamber. All the amplifiers are controlled from the council chamber. They are switched on only when there is a meeting and switched off afterwards. The network switch stays live the whole time. In the chamber, there are 3 flat screen monitors and a projection system. The screen and the light above the screen are controlled from the control desk and plugged into the UPS. The flat screen monitors are plugged into the UPS, and that is all controlled from the control desk as well. That means that at the end of a meeting, when the power is switched off, there is no power consumed by any of the equipment in the council chamber. This is the connection in the control room of the hunter room. There are 2 RJ45 sockets in the wall from the council chamber. One is for vision and the other is for audio. The RJ45 leads go into a receiver for vision and a receiver for audio. The receiver for vision is connected either to a projector or a screen in the hunter room, and the audio goes into the mixer that is used for normal meetings. So once we've turned that up, we should be able to see the picture and hear the sound in the hunter room. Yeah, we're just listening to a radio in the council chamber, which we show is coming through here in sound and in vision, next to Councillor Brad Luke's microphone. There are 3 types of microphones in the council chamber. One is for the councillors, another type for the officers, and another type for the Lord Mayor. For the councillors, one councillor can press their microphone button to speak. If, while they are speaking, another councillor wishes to speak and presses their microphone button, it shows flashing green that they are the next to speak. Any other councillor who presses their button, it's solid green, and they know they're in the queue to speak. When the first councillor finishes, it automatically goes from flashing green to red, indicating that they can speak, and the one that was solid green then turns flashing green because they were next in the queue. The officer's mic can override those at any time. So even while a councillor is speaking and another is queuing, an officer can turn on their microphone and they can be heard over when they are requested to speak. The mayor has an override button on her mic, which allows her to turn off any other mic in the council chamber. While her finger is pressed on the button, she can speak and then release the button when she has finished, and everything goes back to normal. The cues and the timing is shown on the monitor in front of the Lord Mayor. The Lord Mayor can see who is speaking, what time they have spoken for, and the order that the others pressed their buttons as a request to speak. A little trick would be that to set the mayor's microphone to on, even before the beginning of the meeting, and then enable the timer. That way you will not see the mayor has spoken for like 2.5 hours. The audio-visual system in the council chamber is controlled by a purpose-built control desk, which was designed to fit in with the rest of the furniture that's been in the council chamber for many years. Moving around the control desk, we have a 8-button controller that allows the system to be started from one button and stopped from another button. The other buttons choose which input is shown on the monitors and the projector. There is a screen and keyboard and mouse here for the secretary who is taking the minutes, and there is another screen, keyboard and mouse for the person controlling the meeting. And the control can be camera control, because as a person speaks, the camera zooms in on them. If I start Councillor Jason speaking, then the camera will zoom in on Councillor Jason. The other items on the control screen are the home screen, where you can start and end council meetings, or if there is a different type of meeting, such as the public voice, you can start and stop a public voice meeting. There is the microphone control, so that once a meeting is started, if we start the council meeting again, then on the microphone screen you can see who is attending the meeting, and the operator can turn off a microphone. If a councillor forgets to turn off their mic, then the operator can do that. There is a speech time section, so you can either enable speech times or disable speech times. Voting we will come to in a little while, and camera control, as I mentioned, shows which person that the camera is zoomed in on. On the left-hand side of the rack, we have the keyboard and mouse to operate the system for streaming, because the council meetings are streamed to the internet. That is the computer that looks after the streaming. This is the switcher which decides which input goes to the screen within the council chamber and also to an overflow room. Underneath that we have a screen which actually shows what is being streamed, and next to that is the main computer that is controlling the council chamber audio-visual system. On the right-hand side of that rack is a monitor that allows the people operating the meeting to make sure that what the mayor sees is correct. Underneath that you can see 4 remote controls. That is there so that if there is a fault within the control system, then the remote controls can be used to start the TVs, to raise and lower the screen, to operate the projector. Underneath that are the switches bank. The left hand is the streaming on and off, because if you look at the streaming PC, if I turn off the streaming, you lose the picture to the streaming PC. The 2 switches on the right are to turn off all the equipment on the desk, and next to that is the main switch that switches off power from the UPS to all the equipment connected to it. Underneath the switches there is a planar feedback suppressor and the Bosch DCN CCU controller. The microphones are plugged into this controller, and the controller looks after the volume and the direction of the microphones. Underneath that is a planar matrix digital mixer, which allows us to direct the sound to either the loudspeakers in the chamber or the loudspeakers pointing at the public gallery. Underneath that is on the left-hand side with the 4 lights together and then light on the right of it is a distribution amplifier that sends the video picture to the various monitors and projectors. There are 4 distribution units which take the signal via HDMI and send it out via Cat6 to the monitors and the projector. Right at the bottom, on the left-hand side, is a device that allows the HDMI signal that is coming off the system to be converted to VGA for the monitors that the mayor uses to see the names and who is about to speak. And on the right of that is the brains of the control system for the council chamber. The equipment from the back of the rack has been pulled out so you can see what each component does. The streaming DA takes in the signal from the main computer and distributes it out to the streaming PC and to the hunter room where they can be used for an overflow meeting. That device changes the signal from HDMI to composite because the streaming takes its signal as a composite signal. This receives via Cat6 the signal from the guest AV and turns it into HDMI to go into the switcher. This comes in from the HP Monitor 1. It goes into the main monitor that the person who is operating the system sees, and it also goes out to switcher 2. So if you want to see what is happening on that control screen while you're doing camera setups, you can see the images on the screens in the council chamber. In the hunter room, there is sound going to the hunter room and vision going to the hunter room, so that if there is an overflow, the image from the cameras goes to the hunter room as well. There's a network switch because all of the equipment in the rack is IP based, so each one has its RJ45 cable and it runs via the network switch. An additional feature of the Bosch DCN system set up in Newcastle Council Chamber is the electronic voting. This can be done by starting a meeting. After the meeting is started, you can choose what you want to discuss. In this case, it's the bridge or the park, perhaps. And once you have discussed what you want to talk about, you can discuss it, and that is where the mic control comes in. People can talk, and then they can stop talking. And once the discussions have ended, the secretary or the mayor can start a vote. Once a vote has been started, 2 lights flash on the microphone, a plus and a minus. If you want to vote yes, you press the plus. If you want to vote no, you press the minus. If you change your mind, you can vote for or you can vote against. And until the vote has ended. And that would be ended either by the mayor or by the operator doing the meeting. The 2 microphones there are public voice microphones, so they would not vote. It's only the ones around the edge of the ones that the councillors are sitting at that can vote. The mayor can also vote, so we will vote, in this case the mayor votes yes, and once that has happened, then either the mayor or the meeting secretary can stop the voting. Once the voting has been ended, then it is not possible for people to change their mind. Once the vote has ended, all the names should be on the screen that shows the results, and that can be then displayed on the screens in the hall, so people can see it within the council chamber and the gallery. It is also sent to the streaming PC. If the secretary pushes her microphone button, it can be sent to the stream going to the people at home or the stream going to the overflow in the Hunter Room. To record meetings, we use the Bosch meeting recorder. You open it from the icon at the bottom of the screen. There is a screen that comes up, and with a recording button, press the recording button, push a microphone, and you can get sound coming out of it, and you can see the sound with the meter on the right-hand side. Once you finish the meeting recording, you can push stop, and it saves it into the list of recordings at the bottom. You can push OK to save it, and then you can pick a meeting to play back. We'll pick one that has been recorded previously. When you play it back and you push play, you can see that you've got the names of the people who were speaking during that meeting, and you've got a speech pattern of who was actually speaking, so there's no argument as to whose microphone was on and who was speaking. So that's the audiovisual system set up in the council chamber at Newcastle at the moment. If you need any more details, please contact Peter Sinclair, 0418 220016, or you can email me at events@bigpond.com.